Yo yo, we're back with the World Series in 2025. It's the GT3 Cup round number 5, final round of the GT Travel career. This season, it's Suzuka today, and a bummer for all of our spectators, no rain. No. It's a lovely day in Japan, in Suzuka currently, so that's what we are going with. So, have a quick look at the current championship standings after 4 rounds, and we have Oscar in the lead in his Corvette. Jumped Beetlejuice, who's now currently sitting in P2. And P3, we have Richie currently. Sluxy is missing today, so he won't be scoring any points. River is back after missing the last round, so he maybe can move up to the podium. Also, Shelty, with a chance, B Racing also missed a round, so he quite has a bit of work to do to move up the order in the rankings. And you see, like 50 points for win, 8 points for pole position, and 5 points for the fastest lap of the race. In total 63 if you're like being the triple crown champ on a race day, so you can make big jumps, of course, in this one. So yeah, and today 10 drivers tackling this 60-minute race, and we are about to start the qualifying session. As always, 10 minutes. Racing softs, tire wear times 1, fuel consumption times 1, 30 liters of initial fuel for that qualifying. Later on we will have times 3 tire wear times 2 fuel consumption, and the mediums and the softs available, with none of them mandatory though, up to the drivers. Alright, so then let's wish them good luck, and then we start the qualifying. 10 minutes at Suzuka, looking around about 2 minutes for the good times. I don't know with the adjustable downforce what it's actually like, but we'll find out soon, I reckon. Oh, and who is first? Not our championship leader. Someone's way ahead. Not River. No. Taz. No. Beetlejuice waiting in the pits. So someone is in front. 2 minutes of I'm driving, yeah, probably. Not even close to 2 minutes. Hashtag washed. Yeah, Richie is like recycling all of the last minute racing liveries for the World Series. He's having a blast. So Beetle also now out on track. Yeah, not the new one who hits the limit of allowed tackles multiple times for what I've read. So yeah, let's have a look. So Nick in the McLaren, and the first car of B Racing in the Porsche, Oscar in the Corvette, championship leader, Blasi back in his Volkswagen Beetle, River in the Lexus RCF, Shelty in the Alfa Romeo 4C, Richie then in this Nissan GTR. We have OM Dalton, a guest star today in the BMW. Taz also a guest star running his own TEC livery in the Genesis, and Beetlejuice in the Aston Martin. So Nick goes through the Casio triangle, and we go on board with him. He starts the first time lap of this 10-minute session. Braking just after the 50 into turn 1. Ooh, bit of a wiggle. 2 and out of 3. Into the yeses we go. Little lift needed. Tap on the brakes. Get downshift as well. Didn't see that coming. Now through the yeses. Patient. Close to the inside curve. Tuck it over to the right and then left uphill. Ooh, nearly went onto the grass. Coming round the Dunlop into Degna 150 over the inside curve. Brake for Degna 2. Missed the inside curve a little bit. Played it safe. Approaching now the slow hairpin first gear corner. And then the run up towards Spoon. It is flat out. Then the long right-hander, 2 right-handers in fact. And now just before the 50 into Spoon, out, in and out again, coming out of the double left-hander. Uphill we go. And then go over the bridge with the figure of 8 layout and approaching 130 the left-hander. Oh, he lifted. I think it could be flat. And then just before the 100 brake for the Casio triangle. Right, left, right again. And Nick sets the first with a 2:09. B Racing with a 59.8. Oscar with a 59.0. Lastly, 2-minute flat as well. River with a 59.6 up to P2 currently. There is Richie, who had a moment on this lap. It won't be a quick one. 2:15, 2:16. Shelty also a slow first lap with an incident. Let's see. Beetlejuice in the Aston Martin. Comes through the chicane. Doesn't take the narrow line yet. It goes on top of the standings with a 58.8. So a 10th clear of Oscar. First one into the 158 cities. And the top 2 in the champions also dominating in the qualifying by the looks of it. So more than half a second clear at this stage. Halfway through the session as well. Resource covers up briefly. Easily looking for 58s. Here, just 58.9. Ooh. Touched the grass on the entry. Cost him, probably. Can he gain through the final couple of turns? Not on this lap, stays in P2. Nick into the pits as well. River, no improvement. What about B? Stays in P4 as well. Marley didn't improve. Let's wait for Richie. He should do better than the 2:16. Still not ideal. 2:4, 5 maybe. For Richie, Shelty, he might be improving a little bit. 2:02, just 2:01.8. Well, that's interesting. Richie and Shelty, P9, P10. Tess in P8, new 2:01.2. Dalton with a new attempt. minute point 6, currently P7, close to Nick in P6, who is on a new set of soft tires. And you have roughly half a second to Blasny in P5, the 2-minute dead. He raced with at 59.8 in P4. River with a 59.6 in P3, and then Oscar with that 59.0, and Beetlejuice 205 last time around. So drivers are pushing, definitely risking it. Oscar with one more chance, maybe aborted this lap. Will he go out again? Yeah, he should have time. So 130 seconds overrun. If you cross the line in time, you get one more chance. And Beetle improving. 1.5 tenths up on his 58.8. So didn't bother to change tires. Getting the fuel down is probably more beneficial. Even more, I reckon. Spoon. So was it fast enough? The line looked smooth. Yeah, lost a little bit, still up. Also a little lift needed for 130R. Not trusting the downforce. Shelty improved. P7 gets one more chance. Richie up to P4. And one more lap as well for Beetle, who goes a little bit faster. 58.8 it is. So Richie with that 59.7. Oh, he's purple per sector. Let's stay with Richie then. Oh, but the second half of the lap is a tricky one. Not purple anymore, but still personal best. With a River. Said that's enough. Preparing for the race. You see, changing to the medium tires. So Richie needs a bit more than a tenth to move up into P3. Yeah, Beetlejuice always tells like he's not like the best qualifier in the world, so he always feels like there's more time in those laps. Richie's down on his personal best, but not by much. There's Oscar on his lap, so we'll stay with Richie. Last lap of his qualifying run. Good final sector up to P3, but now Oscar versus Beetle battle for pole. Corvette versus the Aston Martin. Into Spoon we go. So we should see the Delta coming up very soon. Run up towards 130R. Corvette power now. Good acceleration out of the. He's up. It looks to be. It could be pole. 1.5 tenths. That would be enough. Can he nail the Casio triangle? Beetlejuice is also on a lap. He takes the narrow line now and is a 58.9. No, not quite. Beetlejuice completed already the qualifier. Okay, so it's Beetle P1, Oscar P2, both with 48.9s. Richie P3, River still on the lap. Oh, no. Wait for River. No, he suddenly just practice the mediums. I was confused, sorry. E-Racing P5, Blasi P6, Shelty finished in P7, Nick in 8th. We have Dalton in 9th and Taz in P10 for the qualifying. So we get to the graphics and have a look at this. So front row 58.8, 58.9, the two championship leaders, and side by side for the race start. I think that Corvette might have an advantage on the start. Richie and River, the two CLR drivers. P3, P4, the second row. Then we have B Racing in P5 alongside with Blasi and the Beetle, Shelty and Nick. Then row number 4 for C and 650 as it is. And row number 5 we have Dalton in the BMW and Taz in the Genesis. So that is your starting grid for round number 5. And give the call. We will be starting soon. Beetlejuice already knows the car is not good off the line, so but it's like what is 8 points for pole, 5 for P2 and 3 for P3. So Beetle being 2 points down after qualifying, being 1 point up in the overall championship AA. So would be an interesting one. Probably medium one-stop race again. Those conditions. Don't think the softs will last very long, and the pit loss might be just a bit too much to go for a two-stopper on softs. We shall see. We shall see. Let's get this race underway, shall we? 60 minutes. Zuka. Tires times 3, fuel times 2, softs and mediums available. Grid start with the false starter check. And I think that's all we need to know. So mediums, let's have a look. Nick is on the softs, Dalton is on the softs, Taz is on the medium. And it's go, go, go. And as expected, Oscar with a good launch off the line. That Beetle also with a good one. So Oscar takes the lead into P2, Richie P3, Blasi in third, River P4. Go a bit side by side. Mid-pack. E-Racing also not the best launch in that Porsche. Nick in 8th, Dalton 9th, and it has P10 into the S's for the first time we go. So it's mediums for most of the drivers for this opening stint. And we're going light astern on that first lap. Oh, Blasi with a good run against Richie. And River also close. But then it's a little gap to Shelty, 6, 7, 10th. At this stage, into the hairpin we go for the first time. And clean, from what I can tell so far. Oh, we see challenge. Blasi versus Richie. Oh, the acceleration with the Beetle. Mighty has to run the position for Spoon. Can they keep the car on the track? Don't get sucked off at Spoon, it looks like. But the gap to Beetle and Oscar already opened up a second at this stage, and we have another side-by-side racing action. River versus Richie. River, the inside line, track position for 130R. So Richie, Shelty goes really wide. He loses the car onto the grass, avoids a big one, but loses a couple of positions there with that very wide line coming out of 130R. Dirty tires as well. That didn't go to plan, I reckon. Still, everyone kind of close after the opening lap. It's roughly a second between P1 and P2, another second to P3. Richie with a moment. Can we see what happened? He was running P4, P5. He was wide. Coming out of turn number 3. Oh, he lost. And he runs onto the grass as well. Dropping to P9. Getting back to P8. Richie versus Shelty. And Taz also really close into the hairpin we go. A good acceleration for Shelty and Richie, opening up that gap to Taz a little bit, half a second between Richie and Shelty. Another wiggle for the GTR. So it's 1.5 to Dalton, 2 seconds to Nick, who is right behind B at this stage. B another second to River, who's close to Blasey, and Blasey, that gap to Beetle, and was on a good lap. Blasey 2:01.5. Nick with the fastest lap so far, 2:01.3. So no one really breaking free that early. Everyone's still within slipstream range. And the top 5, 6, yeah. So the first bigger gap between P6 and P7 at the stage. Richie and Shelty in an early battle. Probably not the positions they were hoping for, but they were running P4, P5-ish. Bit further up the order, definitely. Now they need to regroup. Try to close that gap to the cars in front. Still roughly 2 seconds between Dalton in the BMW and Nick in the McLaren. Nick so close to B. Nick is on the softs. And the top 5 are running all on the medium tire compound. Let's hear that VW safety lift through 130R needed. Just think on the mediums, it's way safer to do it that way. And would it be a fuel-saving race as well? I'm a bit surprised actually to see Blasey revving on that Beetle. It's a bit of a short shifting car usually. And see the top 4 within 2.2 seconds. Oscar definitely with a good start. but he cannot really get away from the pack. So lost over a second. Beetle 6, 7 tenths, then to Blasi and River. Struggling with the hairpin a little bit. At a run for Blasi again, initially. Trend continues. Oscar might be out of slipstream range within the next 2 to 3 laps, but then a good run out of Spoon, so Beetle closes the gap again and opens the gap to Blasi as well. So that was a good run. A second Forest Car to Beetlejuice, then Blasi in third, River P4. B Racing caught up with the pack into the stronger bit of the slipstream range, 7 tenths. Then Nick lost a little bit, 1.3. Dalton trying to get that gap down to get into slipstream range. Richie P8 opened up a little gap to Shelty now in 9th, and Taz trying to stay with his TCR teammate. Currently 2.3, 2.4 seconds. Luther hurt some tires. I think Richie lost a little bit of time again. It's a second to Shelty. And River now all over Blasi's rear. 2 tenths coming out of the S's into Redagna's Ego. Not a real chance to go for a move. It's the other way around. Beetlejuice now picking up the pace slightly, getting closer to Oscar and opening up that gap to Blasi and the rest of the crew. River get the run. Doesn't look like it's 3.5 tenths. Not close enough. Out of the chicane we go, and it's still roughly 3 tenths. Yeah, that's a little bit of short shifting on the lower gears. Let's actually have a bit of comparison, tires and fuel. So 76, 75 horsepower on the fuel. Beetlejuice saved a little bit more, I think 1-2% or liters. Blasi 75-ish. Yeah, River could be saving. E-racing about the same as Blasi. And Nick now, the tire wear kicking in on those soft tires. Fuel roughly at 75. Dalton probably used the most fuel under the 75 mark. Also on the soft tires. Oh, where's Richie? Richie down to P10. Probably this lap, yeah, 8. Nearly 9 seconds. So probably again the first sector. And Taz with a half-second penalty. That is all good news for Shelty, of course. So yeah, he doesn't have to worry about the cars behind for now. And the question is how long can Dalton and Nick run on those medium tires. We're 12 minutes in. Might be tough to get them to the 20-minute mark. Usually you're looking for 20, 40 softs to mediums in minutes. If you go for the one stop with mixed tires, this could be quite a challenge. Or I can look at the tire wear already. We'll see how that goes. So River up to P3, got past Lasby. And we have the 3 rivals from previous cups this season. River, Blasi and B-Racing had some nice battles in the Masters Cup. If I'm not mistaken. And so nice to see them united on the track. On the flip side, the gap to the top 2 now 2.3, so not gaining the slipstream anymore. So they're all by themselves now, and we have a battle for the lead between Oscar and Beetlejuice. And then the battle for P3, that's River, Blasi and B-Racing. Blasi with that half-second penalty. He will probably lose that position to B-Racing now. It's also the battle of the Beatles. No offense to that Porsche, but yeah. Oh, Blasi. Did he keep it? Just. But not ideal. Good news for River though. Creeping out of slipstream range. So Blasi and B-Racing P4, P5. And the 2 soft tire runners, Nick and Dalton. Yeah, tire wear now an issue, and it's 15 minutes for Dalton, so this has to be a 2-stop. And for the BMW, Taz versus Richie. So Richie behind Taz again. After that, 2:11 on lap 6. That is costly. Dalton on to the mediums for that. I'd argue the middle stint and probably a soft stint towards the end could be a possible strategy. Oh, that's a little bit of contact coming out of the S's. Richie at the inside line and more grip, more speed at this stage. The gap to Shelty 8 seconds. Nick will be the next driver to pit. Can he do one more? Would be getting a little bit closer to the 20-minute mark than on those softs, but might be a tricky one looking at the tire wear now. B with a good run. Blasi a bit wide, but recovers his Beetle before the braking zone. Nick is in now, okay, so probably also are not going for the 1 stop then. Ooh, B showed it those into turn number 2, coming out of 3. he's close. River with a nice little gap now. P3, so this is probably one of the closest battles on track. Go back to the leaders, where we still have Oscar and Beetlejuice. It's also quite close, 6-10, 5-10 coming out of Dagmar 2. Into the hairpin we go. And okay, so slight tire advantage for Beetlejuice in the Aston. That's interesting. Also the fuel looking a tiny bit better. It stays roughly at 6/10, then River in third. And here we go again. 2-3/10, just that gap. Racing with a massive tire advantage compared to Blasny in the Beetle. Blasny going defensive. And E-Racing made that move stick. Well, let's see. Well, they're still side by side. And inside line for Blasny. Into turn number 1, just moves in front. Richie is in. That's a bit early. So I wanted to have a look at this one. That's going to be his perspective. He made the move around the outside into the Casio triangle, then there was a little bit of contact, lost the rear, and this gave Blas the opportunity for the run. The inside line. We're going down the main straight into the first turn, and this is where Blasi retakes his position, but it's not over yet. It is, so where's Richie on a new set of mediums, so he's going for the two-stopper on mediums probably, shredding through the tires. So down to P10, Dalton in 9th, soft to mediums. It is Nick, also after the pit stop, soft to mediums now, so the 3 drivers at the back with a pit stop. Then Taz in P7, looking after those tires. Getting those track limit penalties doesn't really help though. Shelty then up to P6. The tire wear, as always, looking good for Shelty in the Alpha. Blasny now also struggling with the tire wear, probably will be pitting soon. Don't think he can make those tires last for 30 minutes. Big gap to River. All this fighting. 4.5 seconds for now. 4 seconds. And to the leaders for the German driver. And let's stay with them for a little while. I mean, yes, Exo, I think from the spectate mode, it looks, the connection looks very good. Basically no lag today. Complete difference to Monday's lobby. So mic games starting now probably. I do like Beetlejuice's chances today. He's sitting behind Oscar, saving some fuel. Tires also in a good shape still, so this could be like the margin Beetlejuice needs in the end. There will be a little bit of fuel needed. We're getting closer to the 50% mark on fuel. And we're 7.5 minutes away from the halfway mark of the race. Oh, no. Not just like, is he going for it? No, he's lifting early upshifts, saving tires and fuel at this stage. Yeah, the tires would become an issue towards the end of that first stint, I reckon. But for now they keep it clean and smooth. But it was a good exit. Opens up the gap a little bit, but then as soon as the Aston Martin goes into 4th gear, so he then gains back the time lost on initial acceleration. Ooh, a bit wide, understeered, ooh, dirty tires. Ooh, this could be a crucial mistake. It's 8, 9 tenths for now. We're still within that slipstream range. That is good news, but don't do it too often and you're out of it. So Blasi had to pit now after 24 minutes and a bit. Don't think he can stretch the second one to 35. Also looking to be a 2-stopper then for Blasi, maybe soft in the Beetle. P in P4. Blasi coming out on mediums again, so maybe then a short soft stint towards the end of the race. Taz is in as well after 25 minutes. The service. Ricci on the mediums in 9th. Blasi after the pit stop in 8th. Dalton. Yeah, the tires still looking good. Very early pit stop for the BMW. P7 Nick also started on softs. P6 for now. Mediums looking good. Shelty the tire whisperer. Yeah, promising again. He's racing now. Tire wear kicking in. The same goes for River now. The fronts on this Lexus RCF. Always the troublemakers in that car. So he needs to do at least one more. I think that is. But the understeer will be real. It's 5.2 now. The gap. Pretty sure the top 2 they will be staying out. Probably 2 more. Pretty sure Beetlejuice will do that. What about Oscar? Getting closer. So as expected, River goes for at least this one. Ideally, would get in one more, or maybe after the end of this lap, and then with less fuel, hoping that the tire wear will be a bit better on the second stint with the mediums. E-racing, that's promising as well for no drama with the tires before the pit stop. And Shelty, no drama, so the gaps are getting closer between Nick Dalton and Blasi. Blasi pushing on fresh softs now. Inside 1 second, nearly. Gets a decent run out of Beckner to 8/10. And gaining even more out of the hairpin. 2-3 tenths gone. Will he get the run into Spoon? Probably not. But maybe out of Spoon into 130R, getting an early run. No, that little twitch probably cost him the chance. Yeah, too far behind now. The gap to Nick. Now with the run straight. He's closing. Still not close enough into the first turn. Maybe a little mistake is needed. We need to have a look at the front. So they're on lap 15 and River stayed out. There's a little bit of white still showing on his tires. Go back to Blasi versus Dalton. And they're also catching Nick 1.2 and 3/10 for Blasi in the Beetle. Oh, that was close, but he was early on the power. Oh, the inside line opened. They go side by side through the hairpin and nice little move. Could be a little bit of the tire advantage as well. Blasi, the fresher tires. Yeah, nice close racing between those two. Lost a little bit to Nick. Now, can they work together? So the leaders should be pitting now, I reckon. Beetlejuice and Oscar both. And Oscar lost the lead, so Beetle P1, River in third, also gained a little bit. B is pitting. Shelty probably doing the same. Yeah, in they go. So a little bit of the mentioned fuel advantage and for Beetlejuice. Is Oscar under fueling in the car? No, he's within a second, and we see in the distance the early pit stoppers. Nick versus River. Oh, goes deep, and River keeps that P3. I think that was crucial for River to stay in front of Nick. Oh, into the S's, and the Lexus stays in front. Nick P4, Blasi 5th. Dalton P6, Ritchie then P7. He came out in front of B Racing, Shelty in 9th, and Tess, looked what the softs are like. He's pitting in again, so going for mediums probably. So just before the pit stop, we didn't see it on track, but Beetlejuice got in front of Oscar, and now has a second. So can he get out of slipstream range now? That's the question. River with just 4 seconds in P3, and we have Nick running in P4. He started on the softs, very early pit stop on the mediums. For now, the mediums are still in a good shape. Can he make this very long medium stint work? That's the question. Blasi, he would have, he was like 25 minutes on the mediums for the first stint, 35 for the second stint. I can't really imagine. So I expect him to pit. He goes wide out of 130R again. Bit of dirty tires maybe. Opportunity for Dalton in the BMW to go for a move. Yeah, less than half a second. For now, Richie is definitely on a 2-stop strategy. Coming down the main straight. Stay as it is. Nick, Blasi and Dalton 4, 5 and 6. Oscar not letting Beetlejuice drive into the distance. He knows that this is for the race win between those two. River now with a little bit of a gap to Nick behind, so Nick has to watch his mirror soon with Blasi and behind Dalton. The tires on that BMW, he was, I think, the first to pit. Blasi with the run, Nick inside line into the hairpin. And Nick taking the wide line, going for the better run attempt, at least got a little bit of a wiggle. So that costs him the position for now. And looking at Nick's fuel, so he will be definitely pitting before the end of the race, and also has a half-second penalty. So a bit of unfortunate event on this lap, for Nick losing the position and getting that half-second penalty. Gives Dalton the run up to P5. Nick in 6th, Richie versus B. Difference in the tires, of course. B was pitting recently. Richie on nearly halfway worn tires. He's going very defensive, covering the inside line. And he gets his car stopped for turns 1 and 2, coming out of 3 this time. No drama. Keeps that position, so he'll be racing and losing a little bit of time. Nick versus Dalton, battles everywhere now after 35 minutes. That was close. There was a brief moment where the gap opened. Usually it's very hard through the S's to get side by side. Where to look and it was everywhere this time. Maybe B with the better acceleration out of Degner too. Moving up 1 spot. Richie down to P8, Shelty in 9.5 seconds. Will be going to the end, and Taz back onto the mediums in P10 for now, so he should be finished with the pit stops. At the sharp end, it's still Beetlejuice and Oscar. Not much separating those two. River again. keeping up with the guys, getting the fastest lap of the race so far with a 2:07. And maintains his gap to Blasi in P4, so podium definitely possible for River today. It will be tough to catch those two at the front though. Nick in another fight. This time it will be B in the Porsche on better tires. Having a moment into turn 1 and 2. Nearly lost the rear. Now has to be patient. But I think he knows, like the drivers in front of him, they need to pit again. Nick, Dalton and also Blasi. So he's running net P4. Richie behind also with a pit stop, and that was a bit too wide for Nick out of Dagna 2. An easy overtake for B Racing, and right behind the BMW. 6/10 gaining. Just needs to keep it clean. How long can Dalton in the BMW run? I think we'll be going as long as a few lasts and then go to the softs again for the remainder of the race. Would be my guess. And the question is, did Blasi find a way to save the tires, get them towards the end of the race? Richie is in for the pit stop. And Dalton under pressure, be racing with the run. Dalton defending the inside line. B not risking it. Nearly went wide, but kept it on the curb. So once again, patience is needed. And through the S's. It's probably gonna happen again. Focusing on the run out of Dagna 2 you saw on the previous lap. Yeah, Dalton's struggling a little bit. Keeps 3/10. It would be a mighty dive. Oh, the inside line opens. Low. Still side by side into Spoon, and they try that side by side again. So this time could be B Racing's position. Small contacts into the hairpin and Spoon. Ooh, 20 minutes to go. That was close. And we see Nick also in striking distance. We have a developing situation. Yeah, Nick is in, and Beetlejuice 1.3 seconds. So you think Oscar with that 2017, maybe a penalty involved. He recorded the fastest lap of the race in the previous one, so it's not crucial. Dropping out of slipstream range would be massive for the battle for the lead, of course. 80 minutes to go. So we're on the edge now. Let's see. Richie is back on the mediums. Nick on softs. Oh, 3-second pit entry, pit exit issue. That's unlucky. Tess in P10. Out of sync currently. Oscar is probably pushing now really hard to get back sub 1 second. Somewhat. 1.1 at the moment. Yeah, getting a good run out of Spoon, and the initial acceleration is helping to bring that gap into the 1 second range again. So this is still not over between the two. 1 second, River of 3.5. The gap to Oscar in P2, Blasi in P4, 8.5 seconds. That gap to River, so unlikely. Fuel, it's kind of low. Tires also could be a problem. Dalton in. Now, as expected, low on fuel, tires pretty much toast, so it will be softs again for the Beamer. Shelty moves up a position. It is P6, nearly 11 seconds the gap to B Racing, though both will go to the end on their current medium tire compound. So Richie up into P7 and Dalton going on to mediums. Okay, didn't like the softs, felt more comfortable on those mediums by looks of it. Nick with the softs, 3.5 behind Dalton at the moment. And we are slowly approaching the final quarter of this race. Still very close at the top between Beetlejuice and Oscar, after Oscar was leading up until the pit stop. Now it's roles reversed and Beetlejuice leading, but it is close. The fuel shouldn't be an issue for both drivers, I reckon at least. Oscar with a tiny bit more to spare. If needed, maybe can push towards the end. River in third. The fronts will be dying towards the end. Where's Blasi comes around. The gap is going down between Blasi and B. The fuel is low, the tire wear 60%. Now can he pull off the miracle and save enough fuel and tires to avoid another pit stop? But he probably will be unable to really fight. Can make that beetle as wide as possible, of course, through the S's and so, but for 14 minutes it will be a big ask, a tough challenge, and be racing with the upper hand, tires and the fuel. Gets the run, 2.5 tenths, not close enough for Spoon though. Oops. We don't want to go away. And this is a nice run out of Spoon. Does the Porsche the legs to go inside line? Oh, hello. That usually doesn't work side by side into 130R. Will he get the run into turn number 1? Blasi positioning his car already. You say, no, I take the inside line. Through the S's. Usually no real opportunity. Oh, this time B on the inside line. Could rely on his tires. Now has to defend for Degner 1. He keeps that car on the track. Misses the apex, Degner 2, but carries the speed. 3.5 tenths. Yeah, it's not over. It's still not over. The rear stepping out a little bit of a slide. Brings it back to the inside curb and gets the run. Better exit. Gained 2 tenths. Now slipstream, of course. For Blasi in the middle, it stays at roughly half a second through 130R, and that might be the end for this battle. I'm pretty sure Blasi will be pitting soon. Yeah, he's doing this, exactly that. So going on to the soft tires now. So back to our leaders. 1.2, 1.3 Beetlejuice with another opportunity to break free. 1.5 it's just outside of slipstream range now. Can Oscar get back into the 1.5 second range? Would be crucial. So Blasi on softs coming out in P6, just behind Richie. Richie is on mediums, Blasi on the softs. So this time he needs to find a way past another driver to the S's. Oh, wait, run into the hairpin, probably. Tires still a little bit cold on those first meters out of pit lane, but the soft should heat up. Now, no problem, and grip should appear. For Blasi 7 tenths for now, the gap. So we'll be racing then P4 and Shelty P5. Top 5 all with that one-stop strategy. Richie P6 with a 2-stopper. Blasi with a 2-stopper as well. P7. Nick in 8th position. Dalton then in 9th. And Tess going for another set of softs, trying something here. So 2:10 last time around. So he was close to Nick. Looking at this, 8 seconds-ish. Something happened. So probably. So those gaps kind of big now. Can they go side by side through 130R? Yes, they do. I think they're in a party chat together, so they know what they're doing, and they're giving us a little bit of a spectacle. again for the race, side-by-side racing action, but yeah, tire advantage for Blasi in that beater, of course. So 10 seconds to Shelty with 8 minutes to go. That gap might be a little bit too much to overcome. Back to the battle for the lead, the second. Now, so Oscar back into the slipstream range, and River with a great race as well, keeping that gap to the top two steady, but can't get close enough to join that fight, for now at least. The tire were not much of a difference between the two. Also River's Lexus, not as bad as on the first stint. And Oscar with a good run, 7 tenths gained, 2, 3, 4 tenths maybe that lap. The True Beetle in the Aston. That was not ideal. Yeah, 6, 7 tenths for Oscar gained. Keeping it steady through the S's. Don't over push the car. You still have a little bit of a tire life available, but if you overdoing it, and this could be an early end, nearly went wide onto the grass, instantly losing 2 tenths. People struggling through Degner 1 as well. Ooh, a big catch, a big moment, but well played. Good save. Quickly cycle through the grids, the gaps between the next drivers. I'm not in a direct fight. Ooh, Richie Drifto! The GTR drift show in Japan. Let's see that again. Degner 1, the grass. That was also a moment and a half for Richie, and then he loses it. Oh no. Maybe still got dirty tires. Richie, what happened? Come on. You saved it. It was good. And then coming out of the hairpin, probably the tires overheating. Yeah, rear stepping out. So he lost that position to Nick. And Dalton with another moment in lap 25 and 218. So two laps. No, he pitted. He's on the softs again. Okay, so didn't see that. Maybe it was a mistake that he didn't want to go for mediums and should have gone for the softs after all. And have a look at the remaining time, 4 minutes. Rishi pits as well, going for softs, maybe trying to go for fastest lap now. Currently Blasi with that 2-minute point 5. The fastest lap 6/10 between P1 and P2, 3.7 to River in P3. Good mistake, yeah, Richie on the softs. But it will be 2 more to go when they cross the line. Is it? Pretty sure it will be, yeah. It will be more than 2 minutes time on the clock when they cross the line. So then fuel and tires could come into play then towards the end. And here we go with 2 minutes 40-ish crossing the line. 2 more laps to go. Beetlejuice versus Oscar. Less than a second. River in P3. Be racing in 4th. Shelty P5. Blasi reduced that gap. It was roughly 10, now down to 3.5. Oh, Blasi is on a mission. Yeah, maybe P5 is possible. Nick retires also. The softs, will they make it for 2 more or maybe just 1 more? I think looking at the timer, just probably 1 more to go. And for Nick, well, he should be fine. Richie on the out lap in fresh softs. Dalton as well on soft tires with a second the gap to Richie. Final lap for those. Let's focus on the battle for the race win. It's the Beetlejuice versus Oscar. Since the pit stop, the Aston Martin in the lead. Tire wear a bit an advantage for Beetlejuice. Not by much. Fuel, slight advantage for Sky Indy Corvette. River's also low on fuel and the tires, so that final lap he won't be able to push, but he will be safe. I think in 13.5 seconds the gap to be racing in P3. So for the penultimate time we go through the Casio Triangle and it's 7/10 between the top 2 down to 6 when they cross the line. Here we go, the final lap has started. Quick look, Blasi is pushing. Will they be able to cross the line and go for 1 more? It's a second. Shelty is fuel saving. Hell, and it's, yeah, they have to go for 1 more. I think Shelty will be running out of fuel. Could be. So Blasi probably P5. Yeah, we go back to the front end. Still 6, 7, 10 between the 2. Not much separating those 2 drivers for the entire race. Nick finished in P7. There is Richie. Will he get that fastest lap? It could be close. Yes, he should get the fastest lap. He did it. So half a second. See, Blasi right behind Shelty, 7/10 as well. So we have 2 fights on that final lap. Four-tenth. Will we see a showdown into the Casio Triangle? 130R, Oscar pushing, getting that gap down to 2/10. And we'll just park in on the apex. And no mistake, and Beetlejuice wins round number 5. Oscar P2, great race. We're back to Shelty and Blasi. So River will finish in P3, B race in P4. What about Shelty versus Blasi? Through 130R. Whoa! Blasi with a all or nothing move. He touched the curve, the grass. So Shelty will finish that race in P4. Blasi in P5 with massive damage on that final lap. Luckily, it's just a game. Alright. So we're gonna save that replay, of course, and then go to... We are missing Oscar, who disconnected before the race ended, but he crossed the line, so we will get that P2. No worries. Let's get to this screen, shall we? Still take the screenshots, of course, and this car will be classified P2. So Beetlejuice with the win, Oscar P2, River in third, B Racing P4, Shelty P5, and Blasi P6. And one lap down we had Nick and Richie with the fastest lap of the race towards the end with a 2-minute 00.2. Dalton and P9 and Tess in 10th position. Alright. So let's get to the schedule. So that was round number 5. Next up would be Daytona, Red Bull Ring, and Le Mans. So let's hope we can get at least 10 drivers signed up for the remaining rounds. Then we will continue with the season. It is a great racing so far. It would be a shame if we couldn't get that many drivers on the racetrack. But yeah, have hopes that we will be back next week for round 6 at Daytona. And some high-speed racing action then to come in the World Series, the GT3 Cup for the season. With that being said, time to end the stream. So goodbye, thank you all, and hope to see you soon in one of our next streams or videos. Until then, take care. Love you all. Bye. Bye.